I'm going to be straight with you right from the jump. What you are about to hear over the next hour or so is not another feel good motivational talk. It is not a rant for the sake of clicks. It is the cold, hard, unfiltered truth about the single biggest shift that is about to hit the dating market, the relationship dynamic, and the balance of power between men and women in the Western world since the invention of the female birth control pill in 1960. By the time you reach the end of this video, you will understand exactly why millions of men are quietly smiling to themselves, why women are starting to panic in comment sections all over the internet, and why the last remaining thread that kept many average men even remotely interested in the modern dating game is about to be cut forever. Stay with me until the very last minute because the final piece of information I drop will change the way you see every interaction you have with the opposite sex from this day forward. If you are new here and you enjoy raw, no filter truth delivered by the angry guy, do me a solid right now and smash that like button, share this video with every man you know who needs to hear it, and hit subscribe so you never miss another upload. If you want to go deeper and actually learn how to protect everything you are building, how to move your assets out of reach, and how to grow real wealth in this chaotic market, head over to Angry's Crypto Academy. The full program is linked in the description below. Go check it out right now and thank me later. And if these videos are adding value to your life and you want to keep the angry guy fully charged and firing on all cylinders, you can buy me a Red Bull through the link in the description. Every can keeps the truth coming. Now let's get into it. The final nail is being driven into the coffin of the old dating paradigm as we speak. Men have already started walking away in record numbers. Millions of us looked at the deal on the table, looked at the risks, looked at the rewards, and quietly said no thank you. We opted out. We went our own way. We chose peace over chaos, freedom over obligation, and self respect over endless criticism. And just when women thought they still held one last ace up their sleeve, one final piece of leverage that could force men back to the plantation, science just pulled that card out of their hand and burned it in front of their faces. A few weeks ago, the results of the first human safety trial for YCT 529 were released. That is the world's first hormone free, fully reversible male birth control pill. Let that sink in for a second. For 60 years, women have had a daily pill that lets them decide on their own terms when or if they get pregnant. That pill gave them sexual freedom, career freedom, and let us be honest, an enormous amount of power in every romantic and sexual interaction with men. Men had exactly two choices: wrap it up and lose sensation, or roll the dice and trust her when she said she was on birth control. We all know how that movie ends for far too many guys. Surprise positive pregnancy test. 18 years of payments, life derailed. YCT 529 changes everything. This is not some experimental injection. This is not a vasectomy. This is a simple daily pill that blocks access to a specific vitamin A receptor that sperm need to mature. No hormones, no permanent effects. Stop taking the pill, and full fertility returns in weeks. The phase 1 human trial just finished with 35 healthy men, zero serious side effects. The most common complaint was mild headache in a couple of participants. That is it. Phase 2 trials are already funded and scheduled to start next year. If everything continues on this trajectory, we are looking at a commercially available male pill sometime between 2029 and 2032. Mark those years on your calendar, gentlemen, because those are the years the game ends. Think about what this actually means in practice. For the first time in modern history, men will have unilateral, invisible, 99+% effective control over their own fertility. No more trusting her when she says she is on the pill. No more awkward conversations about emergency contraception the morning after. No more baby trap panic when she starts poking holes in condoms or lying about being on birth control. A man who takes Y seat 529 every morning is, for all practical purposes, sterile until he decides otherwise. He can date, he can sleep around, he can do whatever he wants. And the only person who decides if a pregnancy happens is him. Women are about to lose the very last piece of reproductive leverage they have spent decades wielding like a weapon. And the timing could not be worse for them because men are already walking away faster than at any point in recorded history. Marriage rates are in free fall. Birth rates in the West are collapsing. Dating app revenue is starting to flatten because men are simply deleting the apps and refusing to play. The small percentage of men who are still willing to date inside the Western bubble are the top tier guys who have endless options anyway. The average man has looked at the return on investment and decided it is negative. He would literally be better off financially, emotionally, and physically staying single, hitting the gym, stacking money, and traveling the world. Now layer a reliable male pill on top of that reality. The few remaining incentives that might have convinced an average guy to take a risk on a modern Western woman just evaporated. Why would any man voluntarily step back into a game where he has zero reproductive control, massive legal downside, constant criticism, and a near guaranteed financial bleed in the event of breakup or divorce when he can simply take a pill every morning and remove all of those risks permanently? The answer is he would not. He is not going to. Millions of men are already preparing for that future right now. I want you to picture the next 10 years in your mind. Imagine a world where every man who is even moderately aware is on the male pill by default. Imagine the dating apps in 2035. Imagine the panic that is going to set in when women realize that, oops, the condom broke, no longer works. Imagine the screaming, the shaming, the articles, the think pieces, the attempts to legislate this pill out of existence or make it socially unacceptable for men to use it. It is coming. And it is going to fail spectacularly because once men taste true reproductive freedom, there is no putting that genie back in the bottle. This is bigger than just dating. This is the final stage of the sexual revolution that started in the 1960s. Women got their liberation with the female pill. They got to sleep around without consequence. They got to delay marriage. They got to focus on career. They got to have the fun 20s and early 30s that previous generations of women never had. And men paid the price for all of it. We were told to shut up and accept the new rules. We were told that if we complained, we were insecure, fragile, or toxic. Well, guess what? The rules are changing again. And this time the leverage swings the other way. I need you to understand how we got here. This moment did not happen in a vacuum. Men did not wake up one day and decide to walk away for no reason. We were pushed. For 50 years, we have been told that everything natural about us is wrong. Our sexuality is predatory. Our desire to lead is toxic. Our natural confidence is arrogance. Our protectiveness is controlling behavior. We have been demonized in schools, in media, in workplaces, and in the legal system. We have watched our brothers get destroyed in divorce court. We have watched false accusations ruin lives in minutes. We have watched paternity fraud become a punchline. We have watched women weaponize the state against men and then turn around and demand that those same men come back and save them when the consequences arrive. Women kept pushing. They kept demanding more. They kept moving the goalposts. They told men they were not needed. They told men a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. They told men to man up and marry the single mothers they created with the bad boys they chose in their 20s. They told men to lower their standards while simultaneously raising theirs to impossible levels. And through all of it, The one thing that kept a small percentage of men still participating was the tiny, flickering hope that maybe, just maybe, if he played the game perfectly, he might get a family out of the deal one day. That hope dies with YCT 529. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. Because once men have the same reproductive freedom women have enjoyed for 2 generations, the entire incentive structure collapses. Why would any man marry? Why would any man cohabit? Why would any man risk half his net worth, his future earnings, and his mental health on a woman who brings nothing to the table except demands and criticism when he can have sex without consequence, keep all his money, and live exactly the way he wants? The answer is simple: he will not. And that is where we are right now in 2025. The early adopters, the guys who are already awake, are preparing. They are getting their passports. They are building their bodies. They are stacking their money. They are learning game that works overseas. They are quietly waiting for the day when the male pill hits pharmacy shelves. And the last possible excuse for dealing with entitled Western women disappears forever. I want you to think about the women who spent the last decade posting videos with captions like, "Where have all the good men gone?" while simultaneously rejecting every decent guy who approached them. Think about the ones who bragged about their body counts and then wondered why no high value man wanted to commit. Think about the ones who weaponized therapy speak to avoid any accountability whatsoever. Think about the ones who said they were the table and that men should be grateful just to sit there. Those women are about to learn what real loneliness feels like because the men are not coming back. We are not angry anymore. Anger requires emotional investment. Most of us have moved past anger into complete indifference. We do not hate women, we simply do not care. We have our gyms, our money, our brotherhood, our freedom, and soon we will have reproductive autonomy that matches or exceeds anything women have ever had. And there is nothing anyone can do to guilt us, shame us, or legislate us back into the cage. The silence you are starting to hear in the comment sections, the silence in the dating apps, the silence in the bars and the coffee shops, that is not random. That is the sound of millions of men realizing that the contract has been broken beyond repair. And now, with YCT 529 barreling toward pharmacy shelves, the last possible reason to re sign that contract has been removed. It is not rage anymore, it is calm, cold, calculated detachment. The anger burned itself out years ago. What remains is clarity. Let us walk through exactly how this plays out in the real world, because a lot of people still think this is theory. They think men are bluffing. They think we will eventually get lonely and crawl back. They are wrong. Here is the timeline, step by step, so you can see it with your own eyes. 2026 to 2028, Phase 2 and Phase 3 trials for YCT5 29 finish. Efficacy is confirmed at 99.8% when taken daily, which is actually higher than most female pills when you account for user error. Reversibility is proven in long term studies. Fertility returns in an average of 10 weeks after discontinuation. The data is so clean that the FDA fast tracks approval. Big Pharma smells $1 trillion market because every man between 18 and 50 will want this the day it drops. 2029. The pill hits the market under whatever catchy brand name they choose. Insurance covers it the same way they cover female birth control because equality. Price comes in at roughly $30 a month without insurance. less than one decent date night in any major city. Within 6 months, uptake among single men under 40 crosses 20%. Within 18 months, it is over 50%. By 2032, it is the default. Every aware man is on it the same way every aware woman has been on female birth control since the 1970s. Now, watch what happens to female behavior when the old tricks stop working. First, the oops pregnancies vanish overnight. Women who used to bank on the possibility of locking down a high earning man with an unplanned pregnancy suddenly find themselves staring at a negative test every single time. No more surprise ultrasound photos texted at 3 a.m. No more we need to talk messages that end with an 18-year obligation. The leverage is gone. Second, the entire pricing structure of the dating market collapses. Right now, a large percentage of women can demand provision, protection, and commitment from men because there is always the background risk of pregnancy. Remove that risk, and the only thing a woman brings to the table is her personality, her looks, her character, and her ability to add genuine value to a man's life. Guess what most modern Western women have spent the last 20 years telling men is not required? Exactly those things. They bragged about being independent. They bragged about not needing a man. They bragged about being the prize just for existing. Cool. Now they get to live that reality. Third, you will see a massive spike in shaming language aimed at men who use the pill. Articles will appear tomorrow claiming that men who take YCT 529 are immature, selfish, afraid of commitment, or secretly misogynistic. They will try every trick in the book to make men feel guilty for wanting the same bodily autonomy women have enjoyed for 2 generations. Watch how fast those articles age when literally zero men care. The shaming script only works when men still want female approval. The moment approval is no longer required for sex, happiness, or peace of mind, the script becomes background noise. Fourth, passport bro numbers explode. Men who were already planning to go overseas double down. Why? Because traditional women in other countries never lost their understanding that relationships are a mutual exchange. They still cook, they still respect masculinity. They still understand that peace in the home is a joint responsibility. When Western women lose their last piece of leverage, the contrast becomes blinding. A man can stay in Chicago and deal with endless attitude, criticism, and zero reproductive security. Or he can spend 2 weeks in Colombia, Thailand, Poland, or the Philippines and meet women who are excited to build something real. The math is not hard. Fifth, marriage rates fall off a cliff. They were already in the toilet. With the male pill, they go to zero for any man who is paying attention. Why sign a contract that gives the state the right to take half your assets and future earnings when you can have children on your own timeline with a woman who actually respects you, or choose not to have children at all and keep every dollar you earn? Marriage becomes a religious relic for the top 1% of men who want the optics and the bottom 5% who still believe the Disney fantasy. Sixth, female loneliness reaches levels we have never seen before. The TikToks are already starting. You have seen them. Women in their late 20s and early 30s filming themselves in empty apartments asking where all the good men went. Those videos are the opening act. By 2035, those same women will be in their mid to late 30s, biological clocks screaming, and the only men still willing to date locally will be the ones who never woke up, the ones who still think simping is a personality. The rest of us will be on the other side of the planet, or happily single, financially secure, physically fit, and completely unbothered. I want you to understand something very clearly. This is not revenge. This is not punishment. This is cause and effect. You cannot spend 50 years telling an entire gender they are disposable, toxic, and unnecessary. You cannot weaponize the legal system against them. You cannot mock them, shame them, and extract from them while giving nothing in return, and then act surprised when they quietly exit the game the moment they are handed the tools to do so safely. Actions have consequences. Decades of consequences are now arriving all at once. Think back to every guy you know who got baby trapped. Think about the ones who married, thinking they were building a family only to be divorced 10 years later and forced to pay alimony to a woman who hated him. Think about the ones who lost their homes, their children, their life savings because the system is rigged from jump. Every single one of those stories ends the day the male pill becomes mainstream. Those stories become museum pieces, cautionary tales from a bygone era when men had no choice but to roll the dice. Now flip the script. Imagine you are a 25-year-old man in 2032. You wake up, take your YCT 529 with your morning coffee, hit the gym, go to work, stack money, and live exactly how you want. If you want female companionship, you hop on a plane for a long weekend somewhere that still has sane dating dynamics, or you date casually knowing the worst case scenario is gone forever. You never have to worry about a surprise pregnancy. You never have to worry about false accusations derailing your life because you are not putting yourself in positions where one woman's word can destroy you. You keep your freedom, your peace, and your money. That is the default setting for every aware man in the next decade. Women are going to scream that this is unfair. They are going to say men are running from responsibility. Let them scream. The same women spent years bragging that they do not need men while simultaneously demanding men provide everything. The cognitive dissonance is going to be glorious to watch. They wanted equality. They are about to get it in its purest form. No one owes anyone anything. Your body, your choice now applies to both sides. Welcome to true equality. And here's the part most people still do not see coming. The birth rate collapse accelerates so fast that governments panic. Within 10 years of the male pill hitting the market, fertility rates in every Western country drop below 1.0. Politicians start offering massive tax breaks, baby bonuses, free housing, anything to try to get men to reproduce locally. It will not work. Men will take the tax breaks, pocket the money, and keep living their lives. Once men realize they can have children later with younger traditional women overseas or simply opt out entirely and still live like kings, the incentives flip permanently. Society as we know it changes forever. The old model was built on the assumption that men would always show up no matter how badly they were treated because biology forced their hand. Remove the biological handcuffs, and the entire structure collapses. Consumer economies that depend on men getting married, buying bigger houses, bigger cars, and supporting families implode. Entire industries built around female consumption shrink overnight. The ramifications are endless. But for men, for the first time in living memory, life becomes simple. Build your body, build your money, build your brotherhood, travel, experience everything the world has to offer. And when or if you ever decide you want children, you do it on your terms, with full control, with a woman who sees you as a partner, not a resource to be drained. That future is not 20 years away, it is 5 to 10 years away. The train has already left the station. The only question left is which side of history you are going to be on when it arrives. The next phase is already written in the data, and most people are still pretending they cannot read the numbers. Let us look at what is happening right now in 2025 before the pill even lands. This is the calm before the complete restructuring of society. Marriage rates in the United States have fallen from over 70% of adults in 1970 to barely 50% today. And that 50% is almost entirely carried by religious conservatives and high income men who still see tax or image advantages. Among men under 35 in urban and suburban areas, the number who have zero interest in marriage is already pushing 45% and climbing 3 to 5 points every single year. Birth rates in every single Western country, plus Japan, South Korea, and increasingly parts of Latin America, are below replacement and still falling. In South Korea, the fertility rate is 0.72. In Italy and Spain, it is 1.2. In the United States, it is 1.62 and dropping fast. These are not cycles, these are cliffs. The dating apps are the canary in the coal mine. Male engagement on Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge has been declining steadily since 2021. Swipe rates from men are down over 30% in most Western markets. Deletion rates are up. The companies are terrified. They keep rolling out new premium tiers and boosts because the only thing keeping revenue alive is the shrinking pool of desperate men willing to pay to be seen. Women are staying on the apps longer and longer, but the quality matches are evaporating. The top 20% of men still clean up, the bottom 80% have checked out completely. That gap widens every quarter. Now, overlay the coming male pill on top of those trends, and you get a straight line projection to zero participation from any man who is awake. The average man is already voting with his feet. Give him the same sexual freedom women have had for 2 generations, and the exodus becomes biblical. Let us talk about what female behavior looks like when the old playbook stops working. The first stage is denial. That is where we are right now. You see it in the comment sections every day. Women insisting that real men will still want to wife them up, that the passport bros are just losers who cannot get laid at home, that men will eventually get lonely and come crawling back. That stage lasts until about 2030, maybe 2031. The moment the pill is in every pharmacy and uptake crosses 40%, denial collapses into anger. The anger phase is going to be loud. Expect nightly segments on cable news about the crisis of masculinity. Expect endless opinion pieces about how men are abandoning their responsibilities. Expect politicians to start floating ideas like male contraception registries, or taxes on single men, or mandatory paternity testing at birth to protect women. They will try everything short of outright banning the pill. And when the Supreme Court shoots those laws down, because bodily autonomy cuts both ways now, the rage will reach fever pitch. That rage will then turn inward. Women will start attacking each other. You are already seeing the early versions of this. The pick me accusations are going to multiply by 1,000. Any woman who treats men with respect, who cooks, who stays fit, who speaks softly, will be labeled a traitor to the sisterhood. Trad wife content will be flooded with hate. Meanwhile, millions of men will quietly move their lives to countries where that kind of woman is still the default. The third stage is bargaining. This is the funniest one. Around 2033 to 2035, you will see a complete 180 in messaging. Suddenly, every influencer who spent the 2020s telling men they were trash will be posting tearful videos about how men and women need each other, how feminism was misunderstood, how they are willing to compromise now. Dating coaches for women will explode overnight, teaching them how to be feminine again, how to stop arguing, how to dress modestly, how to cook, how to keep a clean home. The same women who mock those skills as 1950s oppression will be paying hundreds of dollars an hour to learn them because the market will demand it. That bargaining will fail too, because by that point, most men will have zero trust left. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me for 50 years, I am done. Trust is not rebuilt with a 6-month personality makeover on TikTok. It is rebuilt over years of consistent behavior. And by the time women figure that out, the men who mattered will be gone, married to 26-year-old women in Medellin, Warsaw, or Cebu, who never had to relearn femininity because they never threw it away in the first place. The final stage is acceptance, and that one is brutal. Acceptance means millions of women in their late 30s and 40s realizing the party is over forever. It means entire generations of educated, high earning Western women becoming cat ladies, not by choice, but by consequence. It means birth rates so low that schools close by the hundreds every year. It means governments openly paying women to have children and still failing because the men who would have been the fathers opted out a decade earlier. I want you to understand that none of this is theoretical. Every single piece of it is already in motion. The male pill is just the accelerant. The fire was already burning. Let us talk about the legal battles that are coming because they are going to be massive. The moment YCT 529 is approved, lawsuits will start flying. The first wave will come from religious and conservative groups claiming it promotes promiscuity. Those will lose. The second wave will come from feminist organizations claiming it disempowers women. Those will lose harder because the same bodily autonomy arguments that protected female contraception for 60 years protect male contraception now. The third and most dangerous wave will come from state governments trying to restrict access through insurance mandates, age limits, or mandatory counseling sessions designed to guilt men into not using it. Those battles will go all the way to the Supreme Court, and the court will strike them down 8-1 or 9-0 because you cannot give one gender reproductive freedom and deny it to the other without violating the Equal Protection Clause. Big Pharma knows this. That is why they are already lawyered up and ready. They smell the biggest guaranteed revenue stream in the history of medicine. Every man aged 18 to 55 is a potential lifelong customer. Do the math. In the United States alone, that is roughly 75 million men. At $30 a month, that is $27 billion a year in guaranteed revenue, and that is before global markets. They will fight to the death to protect this product. Insurance companies will try to push back at first, claiming it is elective, but the second politicians realize birth rates are collapsing and welfare states are at risk, coverage will become mandatory under the same essential health benefits rules that cover female birth control. The irony will be delicious. While all of this is happening, a parallel revolution is taking place in men's lives right now, today, in 2025. Men are rediscovering minimalism, not the trendy Marie Kondo version, the real version. One bedroom apartment, paid off truck, gym membership, high protein food, crypto wallet, passport, and peace. That is the new male dream. No mortgage, no wife, no kids, unless and until he decides the time is right. No drama, no arguing about whose turn it is to load the dishwasher, no coming home to a woman who resents him for existing. Just quiet, calm, and money in the bank. Men are getting vasectomies in record numbers already, even before the pill. Why? Because they do not trust the current system and they want certainty now. When the pill arrives, vasectomy rates will drop, but the mindset will stay the same. My body, my choice, my timeline. Men are building brotherhoods again, Discord servers, private gyms, mastermind groups, overseas meetups. The lone wolf phase is over. Men realized that walking away does not mean being lonely. It means choosing who is in your circle instead of having society force feed you obligations. Men are getting their testosterone levels fixed. Clinics are popping up everywhere. TRT is no longer taboo. Men in their 30s are walking around with the hormone profile of 20-year-olds and the discipline that comes from a decade of hard lessons. They are calm, focused, strong, and completely uninterested in female drama. Men are stacking money like never before. Because when you remove the need to impress women, when you remove the need to buy a big house or a fancy car to attract a wife, every dollar compounds. The average man in his 20s and 30s today will have more investable net worth by age 40 than his father had at retirement because he is not bleeding cash on dates, weddings, divorces, or child support. That financial independence is the ultimate leverage. A man who can live anywhere on earth, who needs nothing from the system, who has full control over his reproductive future, is the most dangerous creature the modern state has ever faced. He cannot be shamed. He cannot be guilted. He cannot be financially bled. He answers to no one but himself and the brothers he chooses. That is the man who is coming online right now. And there are tens of millions of him. The map is already being redrawn, and most men still have not noticed which countries are quietly positioning themselves to receive millions of high value, high testosterone, high net worth Western men who are done with the chaos at home. These are not the fantasy destinations you see in thirsty Instagram reels. These are the places where the social contract between men and women never broke in the first place, where femininity is still the default setting, where family is still the center of life, and where a man's resources, protection, and leadership are respected instead of mocked. Start in Latin America. Colombia is ground zero right now for a reason. Medellin and the surrounding Antioquia region have become the new Miami for awake men. The women are fit, feminine, family oriented, and overwhelmingly traditional. Divorce laws are still sane, prenups are respected. The cost of living is 30 to 40% of most US cities, and the weather is springtime year round. A man making $80,000 a year remote lives like a multimillionaire. The airport in Medellin is already seeing direct flights from Miami, Atlanta, New York, and Houston packed with single men every single week. Real estate in the best neighborhoods has doubled in the last 3 years and is still climbing. Get in now or pay double in 2030. Move south to Peru and Brazil. Peru is quieter, cheaper, and the women in Lima and Arequipa still grow up expecting to cook, clean, and build a home with a strong man. Brazil is louder, sexier, and more chaotic, but the traditional pockets in Florianopolis, Curitiba, and the interior of Minas Gerais are producing some of the most loyal, beautiful feminine women on earth. Violence statistics scare the tourists away, but the men who actually live there full time know exactly which neighborhoods to choose and which to avoid. The reward to risk ratio is still insane in favor of the prepared man. Eastern Europe is the second major zone. Poland has become the number one European destination for a reason. Low divorce rates, strong Catholic roots that still influence behavior, even among the non religious, and women who genuinely enjoy being women. Warsaw, Krakow, Wrocław, and Gdansk are all seeing an influx of American, British, Canadian, and German men who realized that dating a 28-year-old Polish girl who speaks perfect English, has a master's degree, stays in shape, and still wants to cook Sunday dinner for her man is infinitely better than dealing with a 34-year-old from Los Angeles who thinks respect is negotiable. Real estate in Poland is still undervalued compared to Western Europe, and residency is straightforward for anyone with remote income or savings. Romania and Bulgaria are the sleeper hits. Bucharest and Sofia have nightlife that rivals Miami or Vegas on the weekends, but the women outside the Instagram clubs are shockingly traditional. A man who speaks even broken local language and shows basic respect is treated like a king. Cost of living is half of Poland and a quarter of the United States. The EU passport pipeline through residency is also wide open. Southeast Asia is the third major zone, and it is splitting into two tiers. Thailand and the Philippines are still the classics. Bangkok, Pattaya, and Manila are party cities, but Chiang Mai, Cebu, and Davao have massive traditional communities where long term relationships and families are the norm. The age gap tolerance is still the highest on earth, and the cost of living is the lowest. A man can live extremely well on $2,000 a month and like absolute royalty on 4,000. The digital nomad infrastructure is mature. Direct flights from the West are increasing every year. Vietnam is the new frontier inside Southeast Asia, Hanoi and Da Nang are exploding with men who discovered that Vietnamese women combine East Asian loyalty and work ethic with a warmth and femininity that disappeared in China decades ago. The country is 20 years behind Thailand in development, which means prices are still stupid low and the women have not been exposed to Western feminist messaging yet. In 5 to 7 years, Vietnam will be where Thailand was in 2015. Position now. Indonesia and Malaysia are the Muslim adjacent options for men who want conservative women without the Latin fire or Slavic intensity. Bali is obviously the gateway, but Jakarta, Bandung, and Kuala Lumpur are producing educated, English speaking, hijab optional women who still believe a wife's job is to make her husband's life easier. The trade off is stricter social rules and less nightlife, but for men who want peace above everything else, it is perfect. These are not fantasies. These are cities where men are already moving by the tens of thousands, marrying, having children, and building lives that would be impossible back home. The passport bro phenomenon is not a meme. It is the single largest male migration in history, and it is still in the early innings. Here is the exact playbook the smart ones are following right now in 2025. Step one, get your income remote or location independent. If you are still tied to a 9 to 5 in a Western cubicle, you are already behind. Learn high income skills, sales, copywriting, software, trading, e commerce, or remote tech. The barrier to entry has never been lower. Step two, build a 12 to 18 month cash runway while you test locations on 90-day tourist visas. Do not move permanently until you have spent at least 2 full seasons in a place. You want to see the rainy season, the holidays, the local politics, everything. Step three, choose one flagship country and one backup. Get residency in the flagship within the first year. Most of these countries have simple digital nomad or investment visas that cost between $1,000 and $5,000 plus proof of income or savings. Step four, learn the language to conversational level. Duolingo plus private lessons on italki will get you there in 6 to 9 months. Even broken local language multiplies your dating and social options by 10. Step 5, build a local social circle immediately. Gyms, language exchanges, expat meetups, church if you are religious. Do not sit in your apartment swiping apps. The best women are never on Tinder in these countries. Step 6, date with intention. These women are not looking for a 6 month fling, they are looking for a husband and father. If that is not your goal, be upfront and keep it casual, but understand the highest quality women will filter themselves out fast if marriage is off the table. Step 7, once you find the right woman, lock it down quickly. Engagement within in 6 to 12 months, marriage within 18 to 24. Bring her home only if you want to, or stay abroad and raise your kids bilingual in a low stress environment. The choice is yours. That playbook is being executed by thousands of men right now, and by 2035, it will be millions. While all of this is happening, the investment opportunities are going to be generational. Western consumer economies are about to get gutted. Anything tied to female discretionary spending, luxury fashion, cosmetics, destination weddings, big box furniture, suburban McMansions is going to bleed for a decade. Short those sectors or simply avoid them. Anything tied to male freedom and mobility is going to 10 times or 20 times. Real estate in the destinations I just named is still in the early innings. Crypto and precious metals are going to become the default wealth storage vehicles for men who want assets no Western government can touch. Remote work infrastructure companies, men's health and TRT clinics, private security, and passport residency consulting firms are all going to print money. The biggest winner of all will be Bitcoin and hard money in general. When millions of men realize they can live anywhere, earn in strong currency, and store their wealth outside the reach of hostile divorce courts and inflationary fiat systems, capital flight becomes unstoppable. We are already seeing it. El Salvador, Portugal, Dubai, and Panama are not adopting Bitcoin because they love memes. They are doing it because they see the wave of high net worth men coming, and they want to be the jurisdictions that welcome them instead of taxing them into oblivion. Governments in the West are going to try to stop the bleed. They are already floating ideas like exit taxes, global minimum taxes on citizens living abroad, and restrictions on how much money you can move offshore. Those measures will slow the tide for the average guy, but the prepared man will be long gone before the gates slam shut. The one move that protects you more than anything else is simple: get a second passport before the rush. The golden visas in Europe are still open. Caribbean citizenship by investment programs are still under $200,000 in most cases. Paraguay and Argentina still offer fast track residency, leading to citizenship for pennies on the dollar. Once you have a second legal identity, no Western government can ever fully control you again. You become untouchable. That is the end game. Full reproductive control with the male pill. Full financial control with hard assets and remote income. Full geographical control with multiple residencies and passports. Full social control with a brotherhood of like minded men. And, if you choose, a traditional wife who respects you. That is the life that is being built right now by men who saw the writing on the wall years ago. The timeline is no longer a guess. It is a countdown you can set your watch to. 2026. Phase 2 efficacy trials for YCT 529 finish. Headlines shift from promising early results to 99.8% effective, fully reversible, zero hormonal side effects. Stock in the company that owns the patent jumps 400% in a single week. Every men's forum on the internet lights up like Christmas. 2027, phase 3 trials wrap. The data package is so clean, the FDA grants priority review. Fast track status is confirmed. Politicians start whispering about societal impact assessments, but it is already too late. 2028. Approval. First shipments hit pharmacies in the United States, Canada, UK, Australia, and most of the EU simultaneously. Price lands at $29.99 for a 30-day supply with insurance, $49.99 without. Within 90 days, every major insurer is forced to cover it under essential benefits rules. College campuses report immediate 60 to 70% uptake among male students. Fraternities start calling it the Freedom Pill. 2029 global rollout. Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, Poland, Thailand, Philippines, and a dozen other smart countries approve it in under 6 months because they want the tax revenue and the young male tourists. Western media enters full panic mode. Men refusing to grow up articles hit the presses daily. Sales still climb. 2030. Uptake crosses 50% among men aged 18 to 40 in every Western country. Marriage applications plummet another 35% in a single year. Birth rates officially breach the point of no return in the United States, Italy, Spain, and South Korea. Emergency government panels are convened. Female dating app usage spikes while male usage collapses to all-time lows. 2031. The first male contraception responsibility laws are proposed in California, New York, and the UK. All of them die in committee or get laughed out of court on equal protection grounds. The Supreme Court refuses to even hear the cases. The message is clear: bodily autonomy is not negotiable. 2032. Western birth rates fall below 1.0 in multiple countries. Schools start closing by the hundreds. Pension systems officially enter crisis. Governments roll out six-figure baby bonuses, free IVF, and tax credits worth tens of thousands per child. Men laugh, take the money, and keep the pill in their bathroom cabinet. 2033. The bargaining phase peaks. Influencers who spent a decade saying men are trash suddenly discover cooking channels and gym content. How to be a soft, feminine woman courses sell out in hours. Late night talk shows have tearful segments titled, Where Did We Go Wrong? The answer is obvious to anyone paying attention. 2034 to 2035. Acceptance. The great silence descends. The screaming stops because there is no one left to scream at. Millions of women in their late 30s and early 40s realize the party ended while they were still posting memes about being the prize. The wall is no longer a theory, it is a daily lived reality for an entire generation. By 2040, the demographic damage is irreversible. Entire Western countries have more people over 65 than under 18. Immigration cannot fix it because the cultures that produce high birth rates also produce traditional women who have zero interest in moving to a dying civilization that hates men. The center cannot hold. And through all of it, men live better than any generation in recorded history. They wake up in apartments they own outright, in cities where the sun shines 300 days a year, next to women who greet them with a smile, and a home cooked meal. They have children only when they decide the time is right, with full genetic certainty and zero legal risk. They travel 6 months a year if they want. Their net worth compounds because no one is bleeding them dry. Their testosterone is optimized, their bodies are strong, their brotherhood is unbreakable, and their peace is absolute. That is not a fantasy. That is the default outcome for any man who is paying attention right now, today, in 2025. You do not need to wait for 2035 to start living it. The tools are already here. The passport is in your hand. The remote income is learnable in months. The gym is open 24 hours. The flights are cheap. The women overseas are waiting. The male pill is coming faster than any government can stop it. The only question left is how long you are willing to stay on a sinking ship out of habit, fear, or nostalgia. History has already written the final sentence of this chapter, and it is only 7 words long. They pushed, we left, and we thrived. That sentence will be taught in whatever schools are left 50 years from now. Children will ask their grandfathers why the West fell, and the answer will be simple. The men were told they were not needed until the day they finally believed it, and when they walked away, no amount of screaming, shaming, or baby bonuses could bring them back. So here we are. The coffin is built. The nails are in the hand of every man reading this. The only thing left is to drive the last one home. Take the pill when it lands. Keep your money, keep your peace, keep your freedom. And if you ever decide to build a family, do it on your terms, with a woman who sees you as a king, not a utility. All roads lead to MWA. Men walking away. What did you think about everything we just went through? Do you agree? Do you see it playing out exactly like this, or do you think there is still some variable I missed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Like the video if it hit hard. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. If it added value, share it with every brother who needs to hear the truth. And just remember, all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.